It would be great to have someone who could do our work for us, right? Someone to prevent us from making mistakes. Someone to assist with our routine professionally and allow us to devote our time to communicating with our closest people. If only we could get results without wasting our time for nothing. Unfortunately, it's impossible in real life. But wait, Light Forex Social Trading. Spend your time doing what really matters to you.
Good morning. Hi guys, how are you doing? 10th of July 2019, 8 a.m. CET, Piotr here, and this is the pre-London Open live market coverage here on Light Forex Global YouTube channel. Let's start with risk warning, guys. Please bear in mind trading effects on margin trading. Crypto margin carries a high level of risk, may not be suitable for investors who can sustain a loss of some or all initial investment, so please do not invest the money that you cannot afford to lose. Seek education, gain experience before risking real money. However, past performance doesn't guarantee future results. Alright, so yesterday there was a huge expectations, at least from my side, in relation to the Powell. Unfortunately, yesterday Mr. Powell didn't mention anything about the monetary policy, so looks like it's all about his speech later today after the US cash open at 4 p.m. CET. At the same time, we have a Bank of Canada rate decision, right? So as I mentioned yesterday, that we might change our afternoon meeting, and that's what we are going to do. We are going to meet at US cash open. So guys, 3:30 p.m. CET. I'm going to make this changes in the schedule as well. All right. So let me do that right now. That's gonna be safe for us, for all of us. Okay, it's done. So we are going to have a meeting afternoon. All right. So let's start with what happened during the Tokyo session. We got Chinese inflation data, all right? The CPI was as expected, but there was some kind of the disappointment in regards to the PPI, all right? The expectations were lower what we get last time, but the reading was even lower, right? So year to year it was at 0%. So that was some kind of the disappointment. No huge reaction when we are talking about the Chinese yuan. Still, in regards to the Chinese yuan, the gap down post G20, right? Then rally back, and right now looks like we might have the range in between 690, 691 to the upside, and something towards 686, 685 to the downside. Well, that's very interesting because we are just shy from the 7 level, and to be honest with you, of course, if we are going to see the manipulation from the central banks perspective, then of course we might not hit 7, but I think there are a few bulls here on USD Chinese yuan looking for a higher levels here, and that's gonna be possible as long as we are above 685, 680, right? So whatever we have here on this dollar Chinese yuan chart. One more thing in relation to the yesterday, while we were waiting for the Powell speech, there was plenty of activity from different members from the White House administration, and the Kudlow was a star. And with all this, I'm sorry, blah blah blah, as usual, right? I've checked today the Financial Times, and there is a little bit of the note that what Kudlow said, that it might be that US will not reach trade deal with China at all. That's something interesting. There was no huge reaction yet into that comment. As well as we see, there is a very tiny range right now in dollar Chinese yuan. We are inside yesterday. We are still on a very tiny range this week. Also, the Chinese data didn't move the Australian dollar. Once we broke through 69.50, we discussed yesterday, looks like we might expose 68.50. So let's have a look on the Australian dollar from the higher time frame, right? So as you can see, we broke through the significant support here. So the latest weakness, we are right now below. So looks like for now, based on the daily chart, right, any kind of the attempt to go higher, let's talk about the 5th of July low, in that case 69.57. Let's talk about 1st of July low, in that case 69.56. That's possible supply right now, all right? So the easiest way to try to measure where we might see, let's remove this one, where we might see them going. So let's make the measure. So after the break, looks like at least 69 might be a target, but I'm not sure if it's gonna be if we are gonna be done at 69, right? Well, that's some kind of the possible demand here on the Australian dollar. I'm not gonna take the upper shadow into the consideration. As you know, if you watch our educational webinars in June, we held 3 of them. You know what I'm talking about. If not, then you're more than welcome to visit the archive section and watch these educational webinars. So anyway, here from the Australian dollar perspective, also if we are going to move that zone into the left, right, so we might have some kind of the over under where we broke through the previous low and quickly rejected with strong rally, right? So we might retest, and that's what we discussed, that once we are going to get back below 69.50, the retest of 68.70, 68.50 might be in place. So in that case right now, any kind of rally towards 69.55 might be the good excuse to try to short it towards with the target around 68.70, 68.50 with very tight stop. We are going to look closer into the Australian dollar. So switching to the intraday chart, based on the late New York price action and early Tokyo session, we have supply here which has been tested already. But for me, I do prefer intraday supply inside daily possible supply. That's what we discussed, and that's the possible supply around 69, 57, 50, 58 here on Australian dollar. All right, so that's what we have post Chinese data, and that's what we have in relation to the Australian dollar. All right, what next? In terms of the calendar, we do have French industrial production after our meeting, and we do have Italian industrial production during the European session, during the London session, as well as UK GDP manufacturing production, industrial production. Now, in relation to the British pound and to this UK GDP event, You are more than welcome to join me 15 minutes ahead of the announcement, so 10:15 or 10:15 a.m. CET, 15 minutes ahead of the event. We are going to cover UK GDP live, so we are going to discuss pound in details a little bit later on. Right now, if you cannot join us, right now, let's go through pound versus USD. So let's discuss cable as well as euro pound briefly right now. So cable, the most important thing is where we are right now based on the daily chart, for example, right? Looks like we are approaching this 3rd of January low. On Friday we were trying to hold this over under, right? Let me remove a few lines here. We are trying to hold, then we broke through the Friday low yesterday, and what was even more important, bears were able to close below that, not only break but close, break down and close below, right? And looks like, at least for now, there is no rescue for bulls. Now the main important question we are going to look for an answer, of course, during the next live event when we are going to cover UK GDP is what's the expectations, how bad the expectations are, and what is priced in already, right? Because we are inside the significant zone based on the daily chart, meaning some profit taking might be in place if we are going to see upside surprise, right, based on the data. Can we? We will discuss it later on. So that's how I see the pound from intraday perspective. You know, as long as we are below post non-farm payroll, pre non-farm payroll high, bears are controlling the market, in my opinion. Now, a little bit different story here with euro pound. From weekly perspective, right? From weekly perspective, it might be. Let me make it a different way. Yeah. It's a weekly, so we have to change the color. Okay, most probably with what is going on right now here on euro pound, based on the weekly chart, if we are taking into the consideration the week, the late August, last week of the August 2017, and the range here during that week, all right? So that's our possible supply, and as you can see, we were trying to hit the base of that supply and we didn't. So from the weekly perspective here on euro pound, I do think that we've got very nice liquidity pool above these levels, right? So it might be the case from longer time perspective that we are going to try to hit that levels above 91, right? So in that case, 91.35, that might be the supply, okay? But the whole zone, the range over the course of that week as a supply zone, right? It looks a little bit different from daily chart perspective, because here we are testing the supply right now based on what we have on a daily chart, right? And that's the possible supply, especially that we took the high from the 15th of January. Okay, so we took out some stops already. Now we were trying to react inside that supply over the course of last 10 days, and there was the break to the upside yesterday, and we had one of the highest, the highest close over the course of this run to the upside. The only thing here is this upper shadow. Normally I wouldn't take care, but because of where we are from the logical perspective, we are testing supply. So yeah, I'm taking note about this upper shadow yesterday. So it might be again the question, what is priced in, what is not, ahead of the UK GDP. Now, from the hourly chart perspective, all right, as long as we are above 89.70, 89.60, bulls are good, and yeah, we might see a little bit higher levels here as well. So only in case of no surprise from the data perspective, only in case of no surprise, downside surprise, we might see some profit taking because of where we are. But we are going to monitor this during our meeting when we are going to cover UK GDP. So yeah. Now euro dollar. All right. So we are still inside possible demand zone based on the daily chart, right? The price action here was a little bit different than what we've seen on the pound, meaning that we broke through the Friday low, post non-farm payrolls low, but we managed, or bulls managed, to push to build the lower shadow over here and close around this Friday low, right? So in that case, looks like because we didn't get anything from Powell yesterday in regards to the monetary policy, it might be that market is waiting for Powell, and till the afternoon event during the New York cash session, we might still be somewhere around here, right? You know, inside this zone. From intraday perspective, very similar to what we discussed yesterday. Not many changes here. Again, pre non-farm payrolls high as a key level. We might see the rally, we might see some kind of the stop hand, we might see some a little bit of the profit taking because of where we are, right? But right now, any kind of the rally towards this 1270, 1260 as selling opportunity here on euro dollar. As you can see, based on what we had yesterday, not many changes. I wouldn't be surprised if at some point during the London session there gonna be attempt to try to hit yesterday high because of the lower shadow. But I'm not saying this lower shadow from yesterday, let me switch to the daily, I'm not saying this lower shadow from yesterday is any kind of the buying opportunity yet, right? We have to see some more. Now, what is going on? The late New York and New York session both respected this supply from London yesterday, all right? So once we see move to the upside, right, above 18, 12.20, we might see, that's what I've mentioned, we might see a little bit more profit taking to the upside on euro dollar, but nothing extraordinary. As long as we are below pre non-farm payrolls high, bears are controlling the market on euro dollar. Dollar yen, trying to fight with 109. We had some options yesterday, but if you remember, there was nothing extraordinary. But still, we are inside possible supply, and yes, I can see that the bears are trying to fight here. So we are going to monitor during our afternoon meeting during the US cash session. We are going to monitor the behavior of the bulls here, and it looks like 109 maybe we might, if we are going to see some kind of the bigger rejection, we might see some selling of profit taking. But again, similar as with pound, similar as with euro dollar, as long as we are above pre non-farm payrolls low, in that case here, overall, medium-term bulls are good to go a little bit higher, right? So that's how I see the things on the dollar yen. Now, I've mentioned about the option we had yesterday, so let's have a look what we have today. If there is any significant expiration. Yeah, there you go. 109, almost 2 billion. 109, almost 2 billion on dollar yen today. So to be honest with you, if I'm going to see any kind of the upper shadow on a smaller time frame, so let's say we are going to retest 109, right, the Tokyo high. Let's say we are going to hit stops above Tokyo high and we are going to see the rejection in a smaller time frame. Well, that might be something for me to try to take the advantage of that and try to maybe from the intraday perspective to try to be on a short side a bit. What else we have? Nothing significant, even on dollar CAD because of the Bank of Canada, nothing here. So looks like very similar to what we've seen yesterday. Good morning, summer holiday. So okay, that's how I see the things. That's how I see the things on the majors. All right. More to discuss during our next meeting. Now, let's switch to the Nasdaq. Let's switch to the indices. Strong reaction, and again, we were discussing the range from 25th of June, and we were discussing that the top of that range might be good level of support, good demand, and that's what we've seen. We saw the attempt to go lower during the European session, right? Lower shadow, okay, and rally back higher, right? As long as we are 7,000 above 7,800, right? Because right now pre US session we are still trying to push it lower. But as long as we are above 7,800, don't forget we do have this daily trend line connected through the latest tops, and still need to see some stops to the upside, unless we are going to get back and close below actually below the yesterday low. That's nice reaction, and looks like we have some liquidity pool below, so that might be the case as well here, right? So watch out carefully for the price action, and I'm not gonna be surprised if we are going to see attempt to create another swing low. So watch out for the pre-market reaction over here, right? Below 7,800 psychological level, 7,740 Monday low, all right, might be in place. So watch out for the price action over here. From intraday perspective, what we discussed yesterday, we had few supply levels, and looks like based on this 30-minute, the latest one over here been hit, and we are trying to react within that possible supply, all right, from the intraday chart perspective. But taking into the consideration the yesterday reaction, so the latest weakness, again, something closer to 7,740 if we go through 7,800. So as you can see here, the latest place where markets show the weakness here, as a possible demand in case of lower levels. All right, that's how I see the Nasdaq. That's the pre-market, of course, for now. More to come during the US cash session. Now, crude, nice move overnight to the upside, and it's all about private API data we got yesterday after the US cash close. So what was all about? We had a larger than expected draw in headline stocks. So crude oil inventories, it was the crude minus 0.12 million, gasoline minus 0.25, distillates plus 3.7, and caching minus 0.7. So yeah, finally we run through the Monday high, and from the daily chart perspective, okay, we are trying to break right now. That's how it looks right now. We are trying to break through this falling trend line. So we had third already with rejection. This time might be a little bit more real, but anyway guys, still 58.50, 59.50, that's what we discussed as a possible supply. Of course, we do have official EEA crude oil inventories later today during the day, and I think that's gonna be the key for the price action. So don't try to chase the market, especially during the Tokyo London session. That's what I've been talking about a few times already, that in terms of the US crude, it's better sometimes it's better to wait and see what is going on, especially at the very beginning of the New York session. So switching back to the intraday chart, from that perspective, let's have a look what we have, where we are, and what we might expect. I like the reaction of this upper shadow here, right, because of supply we have to the left. All right, that's the supply. So we hit that supply, we have upper shadow, and we will see what next. So at the very beginning, I'm going to make it as it is like this, right? So reaction inside the possible supply, but because market usually is manipulated, and because of data right now, the overnight data favors bulls, and if EA will favor the bulls, I do like this supply a bit higher towards 59.50. all right, so because this one looks like it's consumed right now, being consumed because of the lower liquidity. I'm not gonna be surprised we are going to see higher levels, especially higher oil, higher energy sector, so it's helping to keep stocks positive eventually, right? On the other hand, where eventually in that case bulls are located, and in my opinion bulls are located here around the weekly open, right? From that perspective, we are talking about what we've seen on Monday, and that's 57.50. That's where possible demand, right? So that's how I see the oil. And finally gold, still below 1400. all right, so we are testing the bottom of the range we discussed previous week. So it's gonna be very interesting what we are going to get here, right? Again, the possible demand from higher time frame, possible demand from daily, as you can see, green zone lower towards 1360, and after such a rally it hasn't been tested yet. So we might see intraday stop hunt, we might see that market will look for liquidity below 1380, and then watch out for reaction around 1360, right? So just a friendly reminder, 10:15 a.m. CET, you are more than welcome to join me for UK GDP live market coverage, and then we are going to cover Powell and Bank of Canada, but again we've changed the hour, right? So not usual New York open, but this time today we are going to start at New York cash open, so 3:30 p.m. CET. You're more than welcome to join me here on Light Forex Global YouTube channel. That's it for now. Thank you very much. Have a great morning. Don't be trapped. Enjoy the London session. See you around.